This is an open letter to Uncle Sam and to a few of my brown and black skins who from overseas who object, and probably, and I've heard them object, they probably, one of their objections would be, okay, this is the idea of a citizen tourist that Uncle Sam would send to our land would be, would affect our local culture. I would say that, dude, yes, it will affect your local culture, but it's going to affect your local culture for the better, because, I mean, if your local culture wasn't affected by anything, any external sources, you would still have the culture of a caveman. You see, my brown skin and black skin and yellow skin friends, if none of us had any kind of interaction with other cultures, and if every one of us thought we were perfect as we were all be, cave people. Cultures basically, they evolve and they move, and people, start behaving better, start, understanding responsibility, and cultures improve. Just like humans improve. Not really. Slightly improve, hopefully improve humans. Societies certainly improve through time, and you know that because we are not the culture of no society on earth resembles the caveman's culture at present. So that's a good thing, although a few cultures are very close, but very few actually resemble the caveman's culture. So we know that social norms change, societies change, cultures change, and that's the effect of contact. And contact is a good thing. That's why the citizen tourist is a good thing. You're mandating your people to have contact, not at the end of their barrel, Uncle Sam. You actually, pay your people to have contact with people other than their own tribe. This has so much benefit that it's just, if you sit and think that how much benefit would a citizen soldier have as opposed to no citizen tourist would have as opposed to citizen soldier. If you sit and think, in both sides, on either side, the benefits is so much more you can get out of a citizen tourist than you can get out of a no tourist or very few rich tourists. It's amazing. Here's the thing. For example, one thing that it's clear we all can see, Uncle Sam, that the rich, your rich upper class, upper middle class layer of your society currently in the year of our Lord 2021. This small layer of upper middle class that is left in the United States, these are the ones who are actually all, feel a little, less inclined to assert themselves everywhere, up everybody's ass. Because they have had overseas travel. That tourism, only your upper middle class can, under current circumstances, in your, capitalist system, only your upper middle class has this, and upper class, the top 1%, and the upper middle class has this opportunity to go and have contact with other people from other tribes, other nations, tribes, whatever you want to call them. Only a very small portion of your society has this opportunity, because it's being so isolated between two oceans. It's expensive to travel to and from. So it doesn't have many land borders. Even the land border that United States has is just with two countries, and such vast distances that usually travel doesn't happen outside of your tribe, which is Uncle Sam's tribe, for your citizens. So the bulk of your citizens, Uncle Sam, do not have the opportunity to travel because of mostly expense, and the way that the employers, your employers, Uncle Sam, are of the mind that employees are tools for us to get rich. That's how your employees see, how your employers see their employees as tools so we can get rich. We chosen, Jeff Bezos, we Walmart, Walton family, Dell family. It's sort of like, okay, yeah, there is nothing wrong with these well-known individuals. It's just that capitalism, there are winners and then there are losers, and when somebody gets an edge, becomes the winner, that's fine, that's great, but or thinks of something new and comes up with it, becomes a winner, but your losers keep piling up, so it becomes, and that's why the reason for so much depression. The losers keep piling up, because in this game of capitalism, of sink or swim, the many sink, because it's not just sink or swim, it's hand-to-hand combat to just be afloat. And that's how incomes are made in currently in the year of our Lord 2021. It's it's very competitive. This is capitalism, very competitive, and very you get the edge and you rip the other guy to shreds, and the guy, your Wall Street wolves are of such character that there are tapes of them that they're talking about, slaughtering their enemies, metaphorically. It's like we are going, the guy with the Merrill Lynch, or the guy one of these banks who went up in 2008, the guy was known to speak about, I'm gonna rip their hearts out and I'm gonna eat it, and he had said things like that. So you understand that capitalism is very competitive, extreme competition, and with very few winners and a lot of losers. And then the numbers of suicides are up. That's why there's so much drug use, because the losers keep piling up. And then, then what, Uncle Sam? You know how you can make those losers feel much better about life in general? Those losers who keep piling up in a extremely competitive system of capitalism. You want to make those losers feel much better? Draft 2 citizen tourists. 2 years right off high school, between 18 and 20, for 2 years. Don't give gun into their hands. Don't draft them for shooting. Draft them into what you would call citizen tourist. Everybody 2 years. Your only mission is just have fun. This is Uncle Sam's gift to you. But actually, you can make it regimented. You can say that, yeah, this is you're like a soldier, but you're not a soldier. You're one of us. You're there. You're there to show them how good we are. Basically, you tell your young people, man and woman, between the ages of 18 to 20, that you want to go there and show them you have been drafted for 2 years. Everyone between the ages of 18 and 20, you're drafted to go overseas for Uncle Sam. Go overseas. You have to live over there. Whatever you want to work there, you want to play there, you get a monthly monthly salary, just like a soldier gets a monthly salary. You get a monthly salary. You want to work, you want to start a business, you want to have fun, good luck. And the salary is a soldier's salary, whatever they can do. Probably that soldier's salary would go a long way in a third world country, because that's a lot of money in a third world country. Lunch costs 10 cents over there in Gambia. You see what I'm saying? So it's quite a considerable income to have, but your Uncle Sam wouldn't be doing anything out of the ordinary. Just having citizen tourists, just instead of citizen soldiers. The same money that is being paid to 80% of the citizen soldier can be paid to citizen tourists, and you can have 80% less soldiers. Have them, be shipped overseas as tourists. Subsidize tourism. If you're subsidizing your soldiers, you pay them to stand in line and be on the lookout. Well, if you send, if you send 80% of them overseas for 2 years and continuously every year, that will bring the world so much closer together. If the objective is to, have a form of government that, everybody can trust, well, unless you decide to, let's put it this way, you want to have everybody to have a stake in the game from everywhere on the planet, correct? Well, this is the way to do it. This mixing of the populations, at the beginning it's going, not the beginning, this is going to be like forever. 2 years. You have to go live outside of your tribe. For 2 years, you have to go live, in your lifetime, for 2 years, you have to go live outside of your tribe. And it's clear that those who choose, there's no choice. Everybody does it, and the result is going to be that I can't describe it. It has so many advantages. From, let's put it this way, from economical, if you're trying to, for example, if you're trying to get rid of inflation, you don't need to start a war. You started this tourist program. Especially since you have the reserve currency status, Uncle Sam. You can send this money with tourists outside. You will have zero inflation. In fact, you continuously have to pump money out, but still nobody will mind, because they're receiving your money through your tourists, some of your money through your tourists in those shitholes. So they're going to be they're as long as they get some, they don't mind you have to keep printing, because since you're not printing the interest, you really have to keep printing, because nobody ever prints interest. So you have to keep printing. You have to keep making more money. That's obvious. It's just that with this tourist program, this citizen tourist program, you keep pumping this money out to all the planet. In fact, those places that there are some skirmishes, you pump some more, but to all of the population. You see, one of the reasons that Uncle Sam, you have to pump a lot of money into into Palestine, Israel, that area, the only reason you have to keep pumping money there is because of the skirmishes, of this, disorder that still continues there. Well, are you sure they're not keeping up the disorder to get the money? I mean, why not, I don't think finding the solution to the disorder in Middle East is not that difficult. Whoever the fuck is living on the land, give him equal rights. Exactly what Uncle Sam has done on his land. He says, whoever is living on this land, if you're my citizen, I give you equal rights. At least on paper. Well, they're trying to, there's always people, some trying to have some more butter on their bread. But at least on paper, Uncle Sam has agreed that every citizen living on his land, it should have equal right. Well, that's exactly the only solution that over there you're going to have in Israel, Palestine, Holy Land. Oh God. In the Holy Land, you guys, that's it. That's the only solution you're going to have. You're going to say, hey, whoever is the citizen of, we have to give equal rights to every citizen of this place. And whoever, living on this place and, can prove some kind of attachment to this place, yeah, you can come in, bring your money. We will build, skyscrapers. We're going to fill it with people. We're going to make, heaven on earth here. Fine, that would be good. I mean, but that's the part, the equal right part. Yes, you're the newcomers, my Jewish friends. Yeah, fine. You're also running away from pink-skins. You are pink-skins, but you're also running away from pink-skins. Yes, we understand. Love you folks. But so you do understand the concept of being persecuted because you are born in a certain group. And so these fucking locals there in Palestine, they feel the same way. They feel they're being persecuted because they were born on that fucking land. I'm sorry, the Holy Land. They think they're cursed because they're born brown. They weren't born pink skin like you. They were born brown, and unfortunately they were born on that piece of land. If they were born in like 100 miles on this side, they might have been born in a more stable place. It's quite simple. Equal rights. That's all they want. Yes, you might at one point in the distant future, you might end up with a brown-skinned president or prime minister. That's fine. And it's a lot like how Barack Obama, the black guy, became the leader of the mostly white people, pink skins. Well, nothing bad happened. There wasn't no mass slaughter. There wasn't no hanging. There wasn't no bullshit. He was ruling as he see fit. That would help everybody. And in fact, his insurance program, that's basically what it is basically the government gets you a discount from the fucking overpriced healthcare industry. The healthcare industry is basically overpriced. So you're giving the right to a government to find, some mass insurers to go get a really good price from these overpriced medical providers. Period. That's what insurance is in the United States, in essence. Having somebody, becoming a group, having somebody go talk some sense with the healthcare industry to bring down their fucking prices. Be it, actual doctors, hospitals, and drugs. And that was an issue. Sort of, no, government has no place in, trying to negotiate with these healthcare providers to bring down their prices. Government has no place, or government that can't even mediate. At this point, Uncle Sam's government is mediating. He's not getting involved himself, but at the moment, Uncle Sam's government is just mediating between some big penises on this side, that is the insurance industry, and some big penises on this side, which is the healthcare industry. They have just, they have at least put a lot of people, they have put a lot of money from a lot of people who didn't have insurance in the pocket of these insurance companies, so at least so they can get some kind of fucking discount from the overpriced health system. And this is even troublesome for many people. No, we don't want any government involvement. We want to, we want to rip a new one for these minions. We want to rip a new one for them. We don't want somebody coming advocating for them, for us to bring our prices down. That was the message of the healthcare industry. Are you serious? I had a small piece of iron lodged into my eye. Something very sensitive, that somebody very sensitive could, do it. Just take it out. And so I went to the emergency room of the hospital, and I got for that, just here, I'm going to take this out. Which, at the regular doctor's office, I got it for $75. Over there at the hospital emergency room, I got billed for $850. So we went found a clinic that is, providing some kind of, some kind of discounted, but it wasn't a really discount, but at least it was a clinic. It was a doctor in the office that took it out eventually and charged me $75. But the hospital, which didn't do the job, still there was some mistake. They thought they did the job, so they billed me for $850, which I had to go and fight them to take it back. The healthcare industry is just like it's fuck. They rape people, not metaphorically, financially, but it's really bad. So why don't why doesn't somebody need to have a word with them? And the way it works in the system, capitalist system, the guys who have a word with these guys to bring their fucking prices down happen to be called insurance industry. So you pay these people some money, so these guys can go talk some sense to these guys, so they charge them less. They reduce their prices. If I have to go to the healthcare industry without the help of the big penis of the insurance industry, I would be, paying 10 times. 11 times. And you're thinking to yourself, is like, I'm sorry, and you say your system works? Who's it working for? A couple of rich guys with boats? Enjoy your system. The rest are, not very enjoying. There is no, as I said, employers don't really think their employees deserve any vacation time or off or that many sick days. It's like, fuck you. If you're gonna get sick that often, I don't want your ass. Next. Even with perfect record, still, if the employer thinks that you might get a residual benefit, you might be entitled to some residual benefit to the work you're doing for the employer rather fires you, so all the residual benefits goes to him. This happened to me as well in the insurance industry. That basically you go in, you work for somebody else, but there is a law that since it's insurance and it's a residual business, there is a kickback always from the residual. And the kickback, if you are your own boss, like my boss was, he gets the residual. Now, if he wants to keep the employee, he has to give part of those residuals that start arriving after 6 months. He has to share those residuals with the employee. So he sees fit that after 6 months to a year, kicks out the employee, gets another one, and life continues. He gets to keep all the residuals. None of his employees get residuals. And then he basically tries to find a reason to get rid of employees after a year. So very few employees are there for over a year. A few managers he keeps because somebody has to keep training the new guys. So the whole idea, Uncle Sam, you gotta give some time off to these people. You gotta force your employers to give some time off to these people. You have to draft them to become citizen tourists. Everyone has to be, have a paid life outside of the United States for 2 years. Have less soldiers. You're going to need much less soldiers if you implement this idea. There will be much less need for citizen soldiers. When the wealth is being distributed even to the shitholes of the world, the wealth is being distributed. What was the problem with that? Especially your system of capitalism, where the money printing, that you don't print interest. You have to continue printing, and you don't need to keep count. As long as this printing is spread all over the world through your tourists, that's fine. The system can continue, and you can continue printing, and nothing bad will happen. Because of the velocity, because there is velocity of money there. Because these tourists that you send, you can bet your bottom line that if there is no, that their family will also a lot of times go on for months at a time, join them in their, stay overseas. And they also would be tourists, and they also will be affected by seeing the local environment. They also develop relationships with local people from other states. So other state on this planet. This tourism thing has to be subsidized. And the way you subsidize this tourism, Uncle Sam, the reason tourism of citizen soldiers of Uncle Sam needs to be subsidized is because it's between two oceans, and just getting to anywhere costs a lot of money. And then, source of income needed. So subsidizing to a life of people, young people, for the first 2 years out of school of their life in another country. First of all, it's not that expensive. Second of all, its benefits so much outweighs its cost that it's ridiculous. Just imagine, just for example, one example, just imagine that there were all throughout the United States and all throughout Iraq in the year 1989, where I guess the first 89 or 90, 91, whenever the first Gulf War happened. If in that year, just imagine this scenario that yes, there is a problem at the top and this is like this or this is like that. Imagine that this program has been going on for 100 years before then. So from 1890 to 1990, this program of citizen tourists has been going on, and Uncle Sam has been implementing it. What do you think would have been the conditions of Iraq after 100 years of sending them American tourists? Month after month after month after month, a large number of young people. And let's say Iraq gets like 20,000 tourists a year from the United States. Now, can you imagine that these 20,000 conscriptees, draftees, that are passing through Iraq every 2 years? Every 2 years, 20,000 or 10,000 Americans pass through Iraq. There's going to be so many relationships developed, so many marriages developed, so many contacts develop, that many of these guys who go back home, they become, some become leaders of their industries and their professions and whatever. 100 years later, there wouldn't be any misunderstandings. These guys would know each other, the guys who reach the top. Can you imagine if George W. Bush was sent to a shithole like, let's say, Uganda? Let's imagine George W. Bush was drafted into citizen tourist citizen tourist department of Uncle Sam. We have Department of Defense, we have Department of Citizen Tourists. Or you can make Department of Defense, as this is part of their job. 80% of their job would be, running the business of running the job of citizen tourists. Give it to Department of Army, Department of Navy, give it to the defense system, and say, okay, well, from now on, 80% of your guys are going every 2 years, and we're going to, your job is just managing the exit and entry of these folks and their programs, distribution programs, where give people choices to pick where they want to go, or they have options to pick between 10 countries which one they want to go, and have some kind of proportionality as to the population of that country compared to however many people that you have to distribute. And some kind of proportion can be worked out. And you think George W. Bush, if he had spent 2 years of his life between age 18 and 20, right after high school, like everybody else, in a country like Uganda, for 2 years, or maybe in a country like Iraq. If you think, if you think George W. Bush would not have enough context in Iraq, know enough people in Iraq, that he felt that if he starts a war, those people might get hurt. People that he has known 50 years ago, and he has kept familial contact with them until today. If such close and 100 friends from 2 years of existing in Iraq for doing whatever, just having fun, working, doing business, whatever he wanted to do. If you think he has 2-year history in that fucking country and then decides to go bomb it, ever, never. And there wouldn't be any kind of Saddam being formed after 100 years of this kind of contact, this kind of tourism. The Saddam wouldn't be formed. No, then they would be, the close contact. It would be, it's like, its benefits would be without comparison. You wouldn't have Guatemala the situation it is right now if you had this conscription system. You would have, constantly 1,000 Americans a year, 2,000 Americans per year, and you increase and decrease these proportionalities based on whatever the international economists are telling you. That, okay, this part of the world can use more money, so let's divert more tourists to this part, more citizen tourists to this part, and that part can do a little less. Because here's another problem. I mean, you see that the upper class and upper middle class of Americans who do, my pink skin friend, who do travel overseas, usually it's to European countries. How many Americans do you think have been to Chad, for example? Well, if there is a citizen tourist program that is run under the Defense Department's budget as main part of their job, start with the concept, and eventually it will become their main job of managing this this system of sending and receiving this many tourists. And the kind of, you would have a really one planet, which you should have had by now. Unfortunately, you keep selecting leaders who think we can force people to change. No, I think, imagine Bush and Saddam actually were, at one point went on a double date together. Let's put it this way. During that 2 years of the guy over there that Mr. Bush has spent in Iraq, for example, just imaginary. It's like they got on double date. It's like, oh, they're. So the whole idea is that why do I want to invade there? Pick up the phone and say, what the fuck? He says what he needs, and the whole idea of tourism is like, folks, this idea that if we can force them to submit, what do they have to submit here? What is it that exactly you're looking for, that if they do submit and everything would be fine? I'm not. It's not clear exactly. What do they have to submit? I mean, if Uncle Sam is sending them tourists and people intermingle and the reserve currency is being pumped into all places, all the shitholes proportionally, and your people are intermingling in the process and relationships are being developed, and 100 years later planet Earth is going to be unrecognizable. That it's so good. It's all about contact. It's all about thinking the other side is someone just like you. If you do believe, if you actually have experienced that the other side is just a person just like you, close enough, then nobody can, shoot anybody. Nobody can shoot anybody. Nobody wants to shoot anybody. If you believe the other side is a person just like you. And by traveling, and when you say you send them there for 2 years, after 2 years of developing some kind of relationship with a handful of people on the other side of the planet, of course, when the guy is like next year, after the 2 years is over, 5 years later, he might actually say, hey, I had more fun over there, let me go live over there. Might happen. No, or every 5 years he would go on his own to see his buddies from that time. Keep the contact, keep the information, know the local language. Anybody can pick up a language in 2 years, even when they're having fun. So all Americans would be speaking a second language. There would be a party at the CIA every night. It's like there is so much intelligence that from around the planet that everything is fine, everything is dandy, there is no problem. There will be a day, if this is implemented, there will be a day very sooner than you think that there won't be a problem on the planet because of some kind of acceptable wealth distribution even to the shitholes, and because of the degree of integration and exchange of ideas and exchange of information and exchange of humanity that takes effect, is that your planet will be unrecognizable in 100 years. That is so integrated. People are so in touch with reality. I mean, why are you prescribing antidepressant to the population? Anybody depressed at 18, if you send them to Chad, if they thought, that their high school was a lot of things that bothered them in their high school and in their social group and this and that, and when she, let's say an 18-year-old girl, suddenly at 18 she has to be drafted and is chosen to go to, let's say, Chad or Zimbabwe, well, what do you think is going to happen? She sees what's going on there, and she is also, living as a tourist, living as a backpacker. But, no, with the money that she receives, the salary that she gets, like a soldier, she would be living a very good she would have a very good standard of living to live in Chad. But then just being there, developing some kind of feeling for the environment, trying to learn the language, communicate with people, develop relationships. Well, this just it's just you won't have problems. Let's put it this way. That she won't be depressed anymore. Depression is when you decide to think that you are in an unwinnable situation. You're in a very bad, in a dark place because you're at the bottom of a hole in an unwinnable situation. So you're depressed. Then you think Miss Goody Two Shoes living in Chad, do you think she's going to remember she was depressed? As in, like, remembering, thinking that she was, at the bottom of some kind of a hole? She would see the humble life of the locals, and she would be over the moon about herself and her standards and her achievements. It gives people, young people, a better perspective in life. Not being a soldier. Being a soldier, even so overseas soldier, it's not the same thing. Seeing people at the end of your barrel is not exactly what you want to teach young people right at the beginning of their life. Try to see everybody who doesn't look like you in terms of complexion at the end of your barrel. That's the message Uncle Sam is sending by sending soldiers overseas. Is teaching his own citizens, Uncle Sam, that you should see anybody who doesn't look like you at the end of your barrel. You should look at them through a monocle of a sniper. Why? If you send them tourists, if you send your young people as tourists and not soldiers, at least the benefit for your own citizens is that they're going to be, at the beginning of their life, they're taught to look at other people and be thankful for what you have. Look at other people and try to help. Look at other people and see yourself. Look at other people who don't look like you, but still see yourself, because you're in close contact with them and you're communicating with them.